Hello everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 14 Plus and compare it against the iPhone XS Max and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. If you want to pick up either one of these ones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely tell there are actually a lot of similarities. The iPhone XS Max was an iPhone that came out back in 2018, and it was the first time Apple made a big size, notched iPhone. It wasn't the first big size iPhone, but this thing had a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display on the front, and it was actually not a bad panel. Like, it still holds up very well. It's a 60 hertz screen, but I think it looks pretty good. There's really not too much to hate on it. And, I will say for this day and age, the 14 Plus has a bigger display, but I still think the XS Max, for the most part, actually still holds up very well. And I will still say that the panel gets a thumbs up from me. On the 14 Plus, like I said before, we have a little bit of a bigger panel. This one is 6.7 inches, still a Super Retina XDR OLED panel, still at 60 hertz. You still have the notch, but because of the lack of the curved side, it's like a flat side, it gives the impression that it's a little bit of a slimmer design or like slimmer bezels. So that's kind of an advantage here. But I will say, the panels themselves don't really look too far off. The iPhone 14 Plus does get brighter, so has a much higher brightness level, but still both of them look very, very similar on the front. On the sides, though, was very interesting as I think the XS Max may have a better build quality than the iPhone 14 Plus, which is pretty crazy. You can see on the sides, we have the flat side here, the curved side on the XS Max. You do have this reflective material on the XS Max, which looks really cool. The 14 Plus has like that standard styling that's been on iPhones from like the iPhone 4 and so on, but this one feels a lot more premium on the XS Max. You also have his SIM card tray on the XS Max too, which is really cool. I think it's on the other side. Unfortunately, the 14 Plus doesn't have it, which is kind of a disadvantage. Now in the back, we have a little bit of a different setup on both as well. So the XS Max, like I said, 2018 phone, had a dual camera setup and had a wide and a telephoto lens. The 14 Plus has a wide and ultra wide lens. I also want you guys to look at how much bigger the lenses are on the iPhone 14 Plus. It is massive how much bigger the lenses are on that phone over the iPhone XS Max. Now we have glass backs on both. I do have a skin on the back of my XS Max. You have the MagSafe capability on the 14 Plus. You have wireless charging on both though, and IP certification on both as well. But with the 14 Plus, you are getting emergency SOS satellite mode. You're getting crash detection. You're also getting 5G support on the iPhone 14 Plus, which is really cool. The XS Max, they both have lightning ports at the bottom, and that kind of covers it up on the outside. There's really not like a crazy amount of differences between both. I will say though, for the 14 Plus, for being the newest one, it is kind of the better one in terms of I would say in terms of like the feature set on the outside, but the XS Max isn't too far off, and for this phone being as old as it is, it's pretty surprising that this phone still is holding up, as well as it is right now. Now, in terms of some other stuff like the software longevity, this is going to be a very interesting thing because the XS Max came out in 2018, and this phone set of the 2018 devices are the second lowest supported devices currently on iOS 16. So the iOS, 16, the lowest supported devices are the 2017 ones, the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and iPhone 10. So realistically speaking, this one is probably going to maybe end off at iOS 17. We're not really like 100% sure, but if I had to guess, the iPhone XS Max is probably going to end off with iOS 17 or iOS 18. On the other hand, the iPhone 14 Plus is kind of just getting started, but on the other hand, it has a chipset of an iPhone 13, which is already a year old as of this point. So we're kind of in this weird limbo stage where no matter which way you look at it, the 14 Plus is going to outlast the XS Max by a ton, but we don't really know for a fact how much longer this one's going to last compared to the 14 Pros. Like, these ones may not be the longest lasting phones right now, compared to the 14 Pro. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens there, but that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go and do speed comparison between both these devices. The 14 Plus has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. And the XS Max has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are clear in the background. Let's get into it. XS Max is here. 14 Plus is here. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Kind of the same thing. So I'm going to get into music, which I don't have here. App Store 3, 2, 1. And definitely the 14 Plus was slightly faster, but it really wasn't too far off. Scrolling through here, let's see if there's a big difference. Doesn't really seem like there's a big of a difference here. Scrolling out of this one, let's go into settings, 3, 2, 1. Very, very similar. Notes, 3, 2, 1. Messed that one up completely. We'll go on the background. Writers, 3, 2, 1. Very, very close. I don't know which one was faster there. Mail, 3, 2, 1. 14 Plus was faster. Clock, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. Let's do photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of the same thing too. I'm not really too sure which one was faster. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and take a photo. Okay, it took a way longer on the XS Max, and even opening up the photo was faster on the 14 Plus. Now, in terms of some of these other third-party applications, let's get into it. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 14 Plus was faster. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. And 14 Plus was faster. XS Max a little bit behind. Let's go and get into Snake vs. Blocks, 3, 2, 1. Oh, messed that one up, but I will be curious to see if this one still loads up faster. And nope, I was wrong, but it still probably would have been faster on the 14 Plus. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. 14 Plus again is the faster one. Let's go and get into Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now, with these types of games, you're not really going to see big differences in the game play, I would say, but loading speeds are still probably going to be faster than the newer one, as you guys can tell. I will say, though, overall, with the XS Max chipset, like it's still a decent chipset. I've played tons of heavy games on the iPhone XS Max, including like Genshin Impact and Call of Duty Mobile, and this phone can still game for sure. I mean, you can see all these games I've played. I have had a really good time with this type of device too, so it's not like it's that bad or that far off. Loading up Genshin Impact, though, we can go and try this one out, wherever this one is. And I guess I don't have it, but I will tell you overall, you're definitely getting a very fast phone on the iPhone XS Max still, but the 14 Plus is still it's the faster phone. It's definitely going to be the faster phone in every single way, but I'm still happy with the XS Max performance. I will say though, there's other areas where the 14 Plus is definitely a way better phone at, like in battery life, but in performance, 14 Plus is definitely faster, but the XS Max isn't too far off. Now, in terms of the cameras, we'll go and kind of hit on them quickly. Like I said, dual camera setups on both, but they are a little different. The 14 Plus has a wide and ultra wide lens, where the XS Max has a wide and telephoto lens. So they both can do 4K at 60 on the back. The 14 Plus can do 4K at 60 on the front, where the XS Max can only do 1080p at 60 on the front. But again, this was a 2018 phone, so we do have to kind of give it some leeway. Like this phone came out like 4 years ago, so it's kind of held up very well. Now, in the camera department, this thing is really good because you do have 10x zoom, so that's something the 14 Plus doesn't have, but you don't have 0.5x zoom, you only have 1x zoom out. Now you have portrait mode, which is nice, you have standard video mode, but even compared to the 14 Plus, you are limited in the amount of features that you actually have, which is kind of a disadvantage. So in my opinion, with the XS Max camera, still pretty decent. It's definitely not a bad camera, but compared to something like the 14 Plus, you are definitely getting a way better camera in my opinion on the 14 Plus. You're getting more features and you're getting just way more capability when it comes down to it. Now, first of all, like I mentioned before with the 14 Plus, you're getting that extra ultra-wide camera, so you can do that 0.5x zoom. But compared to the XS Max, you only get 5x zoom versus the iPhone XS Max's 10x zoom. So there is a little bit of flip-flopping going on there too, which is pretty funny. But I would say I'd rather have the ultra-wide lens than the telephoto lens for the most part. On top of that, you do have the portrait mode here, which is great. You have panorama mode, but you have cinematic mode, which is really cool. The XS Max does not have it. This is like portrait mode for video, and we don't have it on the XS Max, but we do have it on the 14 Plus. On top of that, on standard video mode, you do have action mode, which is really cool. This is basically like a super stabilized type of video. We do not have that on the iPhone XS Max, but we do have it on the iPhone 14 Plus. So that's kind of another big advantage for the 14 Plus for sure. So in the camera department, the 14 Plus wins, as well as the battery department as well. I've done several battery tests with the XS Max and the 14 Plus. The XS Max, I've been doing it for a long time now, and I will tell you the 14 Plus definitely dominates in the battery department as well. So to kind of sum up this comparison, I will definitely tell you the 14 Plus is the better phone in most areas. I mean, it's kind of a better display. You're getting the better camera setup, better performance. You're getting better battery life, longer lasting phone here. The XS Max is still a decent phone. Like if you own the XS Max, and you're not really complaining about it, I would probably recommend keeping it, to be honest. I think this phone still has quite a bit of a life left ahead of it, but it is, on one of its last versions of software. It's going to end off probably on iOS 17 or iOS 18, but you're still supported for a few more years, and it's a much cheaper phone than the 14 Plus as well. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.